What's going on, everyone? So Jake Fisher talked about how both Zach Lavine and Nikola Vucevic are both on the trade block for the Chicago Bulls. That the Chicago Bulls really want to basically tank, right? They want to get as great of a draft pick this season as possible. They really want to move off Lonzo Ball, Nikola Vucevic, as well as Zach Lavine. They know that they're probably not going to be able to move off of Lonzo Ball given his contract, his injury history, but luckily, money falls off. Where it comes to Nikola Vucevic as well as Zach Lavine, those are the two guys that they really want to get off of. Right? Both guys have multi-years on their deal. Both guys are making over 20 plus million. They want to kind of start hitting the reset button and the retool button. Problem is, there is no market for them. Now, Jake Fisher talked about how Nikola Vucevic is most likely to be traded out of the two if they are even. It's not a guarantee that they'll be able to trade him, but out of the two of them, he's probably the guy that may end up being moved at some point, that a team may see value in him. He only has one more year on his deal. Zach Lavine still has no market, right? They still are struggling to get off of him. And now we have reports from Joe Cali, who this is a Bulls guy, this is a guy that reports on Chicago. This isn't a Laker report or anything like that, right? Because people always go, well, it goes to the Lakers. No, this is nothing to do with the Lakers. This is other people that are not tied to the Lakers have said that the Chicago Bulls may be willing to trade Coby White as well as Ayo Dosunmu, right? That those two young players, they may be willing to move off of for draft capital and exchange. And when it comes to Ayo, they may be willing to attach him. Coby White, they're reluctant to trade, like they would have to get a nice return for. But Ayo, they may be willing to package him with a Zach Lavine or a Nikola Vucevic. So, in my opinion, if I'm the Lakers, go get Zach Lavine and Ayo, right? First off, I am huge on Zach Lavine, many of you know, and I've talked about anytime I get an opportunity to talk about Zach Lavine, I am going to talk about Zach Lavine. And Jake Fisher said in the same report, this report was from a couple days ago. I already made a video on that report on covering all that, but these tie together. So in the Jake Fisher report, he does say that the Lakers are probably the most likely to land Zach Lavine, that they have the assets, that Chicago basically just wants to get off of Zach Lavine. So a guy like D'Lo, is it an $18 million, $18.5 million expiring contract? So they'd like that. Guy like Gabe Vincent, yes, they don't really have a need for a guard, but he only has one more year at $11 million. So would you rather have $40+ million a year for the next 3 years, or would you rather have $11 million for one more year, right? And then a guy like Rui makes a lot of sense, especially if they can get off of guards. If you can go get Zach Lavine and Ayo, go do that. In my opinion, right? Because now you solve two of your biggest needs. Point of attack defense, Ayo provides. He's a 6'5", versatile, 24-year-old guard that can play 1 through 3, really, but can defend, can hit shots, can do a little bit of everything. The reason Chicago wants to move on, or would be willing to move off of Ayo, is because they have a Josh Giddey extension that's going to have to cost them a pretty penny, right? There is some consideration for Lonzo Ball that they may end up keeping, Coby White, right? Like they are just flushed with guards. So they're going to have to get off of some of these guards, and the way that they're looking at it is like, out of all the guards that they have, Ayo's kind of the guy that's out. He's the odd man out. And so they may be willing to attach him in order to get off of a big contract like Zach Lavine, right? Where they don't really want to give up picks. They don't really want to give up assets. That's fine, right? Lakers don't really need the picks. They need the assets. They need the players, right? They need some depth. They need some guards, right? Like if you can go and get a Zach Lavine, who I think solves like 70% of your issues, if not more, I think you do that all day. And then on top of that, you're telling me we could get a 24-year-old young guard that can play 1 through 3 for you and has already proven on a defensive scale. And he's making $7 million this year and $7.5 million next. So you're talking you'd have to send out about $50 million for the two of them. I think more. I think it'd be like 51, let's call it 52 million to be safe, right? Because Lakers have to clear out more money, and you need to fill out a roster, right? So D'Lo and Rui get you to 35 and some change. Add in Gabe Vincent, that's what, 40, it's 45. You need basically one more, maybe you're throwing in like a Jared Vanderbilt, right? Especially if Cam Reddish can continue to play to the level in which he's playing right now, right? Like, I like the idea of Ayo. Talk about a guy that can shoot, pass, defend, do a little bit of everything, right? Is he like, oh, we got Ayo, that's it, now it's a wrap, Lakers best team in the league? No, but he's a guy that does and would add a ton of value to this team. Gives you athleticism, gives you some defense, gives you a point of attack, gives you a sizable guard, right? Especially because you're unloading guards, right? You'd be unloading D'Lo and Gabe Vincent in the move. So you're talking about two guys that you need to supplement, right? Like, you need to have guards. Now you have no guards, right? Outside of Austin Reeves. Well, Ayo's a guy that can come in and step in and play that role for you. I think Ayo would make a lot of sense. I think if you can get him, I think you bring him in. Just to kind of give you an idea of what he's doing thus far this season, he's averaging 28 minutes a game. He is shooting not great this season. He's not having a very good season at all. That could also be a reason why they may be willing to move off of him. He's averaging 9.9 points, 4.2 rebounds, 5.1 rebounds, 4 assists, half steal, half block, right? He is shooting 58.7% from 2-point range, which that's good, but he is shooting a abysmal 18.6% from 3-point range on 4.6 attempts. Last season, he shot 40% from 3 on 3.9 attempts, so 1 fewer attempt. So how much of it is he's just struggling this year? How much of it is like that? He's a 36 career percent 3-point shooter. So if he can just get to his average, that's fine. Right? But to me, it's just, again, it's more about you're getting a 24-year-old guard that gives you kind of what you need, especially if you're getting off of a D'Angelo Russell, especially if you're getting off of a Gabe Vincent. You need to kind of fill in that gap at the guard position. It also, to me, comes down to, like, what would Chicago want to add that, though? Or, like, would they be willing to attach him as, like, incentive to take him rather than adding picks? Or is it like, no, we'll add him, but we want a first? Because I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't. It's just because, again, like, you're still taking a big gamble on Zach Lavine. And as much as I like Ayo, he's having a rough season, right? And you're still clearing off a ton of salary for that. Like, there is a financial gain for Chicago in this trade. Like, half of Zach Lavine's salary is just cleared off the books immediately, right? So to me, I would not be willing to give up one of my firsts. If you wanted, like, maybe a couple seconds, sure. If you wanted a pick swap, sure. But if you want, like, an unprotected, hard-earned first, I wouldn't do it, right? So let's say you just match salaries and then you had to give up a pick swap. Fine. I would do that because, again, you're getting a 24-year-old guard, right? To me, Zach Lavine is worth the risk regardless. But, again, there's still incentive there for Chicago. Right? They're the team that is gaining by, like, hey, we just got off of $40+ million a year for the next 3 years. Right? His contract's like $48 million when it's all said and done. Right? So, like, you're getting off of a lot of money. You're getting off of, like, $150 million or something like that. Right? So boom, there you go. Even swap. Now you have 2 firsts. Go get Walker Kessler. At that point, I'd be willing to trade both firsts for a Walker Kessler if you had to. Maybe you could even go get another piece or something like that, or maybe you could still give 1 first for that. So let's say, because again, you'd have to get to 51, probably 52 million to realistically, because you got to remember, Lakers got to send out more money. They can't take money back, but you also got to be able to fill in a roster. So if you're doing a 5-for-1 swap or 5-for-2 swap, right? You still would need 2 players, right, to cover 14, right? Because they have 15, 5 go out, 2 come in, right? So now you go to 12, you still need 2 more players. So you'd have to clear off salary. But again, if you get D'Angelo Russell, Rui Hachimura, that's $35.6 million. Gabe Vincent is another $11 million, so that's 35. That's $46.6 million. Add in, like I said, a Jared Vanderbilt, right? Now you're talking $56 million, something like that, right? So you even clear it. So now you cleared some salary off the books, or you could throw in like a maybe throw in a Max Christie, something like that, because you're getting an Ayo to kind of fill in that role, right? So maybe you're kind of swapping those guys, bringing him in, but you also get a Zach Lavine. At that point, I wouldn't give up any assets, but maybe you're doing something like that, and then you're getting that, and you're kind of doing that kind of swap, and then you still have Jared Vanderbilt, and then maybe you could take Jared Vanderbilt, and you still have Jalen Uchifino, and a couple things to package together to go do that. It just depends on how they want it all to play out. Would you need to get a second or third team involved, or will third or fourth team involved, right? Like, there's a lot of ways that could play out, but moral of the story is, if you can get Ayo in a Zach Lavine trade, you go get him, is my opinion. Because again, now you got another young, versatile guard that can help you now. Gives you some athleticism, gives you some point of attack, and you're adding Zach Lavine. Right? At that point, just go get a center and you're good. Right? I mean, literally, your starting 5 could be Austin Reeves, Zach Lavine, Cam Reddish, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis. And then you'd have like Ayo, Dalton Connect. If you keep Jared Vanderbilt, right? Christian Wood, and then go get like a Walker Kessler, or go get a Valanciunas or something. Boom, there you go. You're 10 deep. There you go. Let's go win an NBA championship. It's my opinion. That's my thoughts. But as always, pass a question on you. Let me know yours down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.